You know what you say, peaking at the right time is important in any playoff run, no matter the sport. I think of baseball with the Mets in '69, the Reds in 1990, and hockey with the Montreal Canadiens in 1971, the Raiders in the early '80s with their wildcard squad making all the way to the Super Bowl and winning. But our great follower Daniel Bowden had a request of this just recently, actually earlier today, and since I'm watching the Blue Jays destroy the Red Sox, I get a few moments because SportsCenter's not going to be on for a little while. But he wanted me to do something on the 1971 Springfield Kings of the American Hockey League. Now, they were kind of a second division team that year, barely squeaked into the playoffs, but went to a massive playoff run, which eventually led to a Calder Cup title, defeating the ever-popular and ever-strong Providence Reds in the final. Now, just a little bit of background, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the Springfield Indians were the precursor to the Springfield Kings, led, of course, by Eddie Shore's weird, miserly ownership style and very direct friction with his players. Now, Shore got rid of the team, get this, after a young lawyer named Al Eagleson, of all people, you know who that is. His efforts were fighting against his dictatorial style and eventually led to the NHLPA with the players. Now, because of consequence of this, Shore sold all these players and leased the franchise to the LA Kings of the NHL for the '68 season, while retaining control of the team. The Kings renamed the franchise the Springfield Kings and changed the team's colors from the traditional blue, white, and red to, again, the purple and gold scheme similar to the parent team. Now, if you look very closely, they look almost exactly like the LA Kings. Now, that season, with Gordon Labossiere, star defenseman Noel Price, and goalie Bruce Landon, a name that subsequently loomed large in Springfield hockey annals. The team had a winning record in the '69 campaign, reaching the Cup Finals before being swept by the Buffalo Bisons. Now, the following season, the Kings had a benefit of a league lacking powerful teams. Only Baltimore and Cleveland had winning records. The team just squeaked into the playoffs with a 29-35-8 record, winning a one-game playoff with the Quebec Aces to do it. However, they caught fire in the playoffs, led by future NHL star Butch Goring and Hockey Hall of Famer goalie Billy Smith. The Kings steamrolled through the postseason with an 11-1 record. They upended Cleveland in the second round, and before sweeping a shell-shocked Providence Reds to win their fourth Calder Cup. The '71 Kings were and remain the squad with the poorest regular season record ever to win the Calder Cup. Now, the following year, Goring and Smith were gone, of course, to New York, LA and New York respectively, and the franchise spent 2 more years in the wilderness. Now, they eventually moved to Springfield Civic Center, but by 1975, Shore pretty well took over, and he changed the name mid-season back to the Indians, and it was all for the Kings. Now, talking about that season, just going over the roster, what it meant. Of all people, the player that led the team scoring wasn't Goring, but a very strong player, but a very nondescript, because he's not high in NHL annals. Doug Volmar. Volmar had a tremendous season that year, 68 points in 69 games. Now, the Johnny Wilson-led team had a mixture of veterans and young players, a lot of 20-year-olds, but a lot of players in their 30s, late 20s, early 30s. Al McDonough, a very strong NHLer later on for Pittsburgh, was third in scoring with 49 points and 33 goals, and the squad also had Réal Lemieux, Gary Dineen, Egg Hoekstra, Jean Potvin, again the future Islander star, Don Westbrook, Jim Stanfield, Dunk Rousseau, Brian Murphy, Jim Peters, Mike McMahon, Will Lachance, Roger Cote, Norm Red Armstrong, Ray Fortin, John Healy, Mike Boland, Bill Mickelson, future Washington Capital, Terry Holbrook, Brian Gibbons, Wayne Schultz, Gary Marsh, Bill Orban, Kent Burns, Larry McNabb, Howie Hughes, Randy Miller, Rocky Fire and Net, as well as Al Johnstone, Merlin Jenner, Bruce Landon, and Billy Smith between the pipes. Now, Smith that year had a great regular season. 2,720 minutes played, only 160 goals against, with a 3.51 average with 2 shutouts. Now in the playoffs, it was Goring that led the way. The pride of St. Boniface skated miles for the troops of Johnny Wilson with 25 points in 11 games, including 14 assists. Valmar had 6 goals. Hoekstra and Gardini had 4 each, and Mike McMahon almost matched his goal total of the regular season with 3 counters in 12 games. And Mike Boland had a strong postseason as well with 8 points in 12 games. Now, Bill Aubin was the savior of the squad, ladies and gentlemen. He only had 5 points in the regular season, but 16 in the playoffs, including 10 goals. Now, Billy Smith got most of the starts in the postseason, he also took 4 minutes in penalties, a precursor to probably what you would say in the NHL. Now, what was quite strange about this as well, even though they were playing in the U.S., only one player was American, that was Valmar. The majority of the players were a mixture of players from Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and Newfoundland as well. Brian Gibbons, a native of St. John's, Saskatchewan too, and BC. Alberta, of course, Marilyn Jenner from Beaver Lodge, one of the best named communities in Alberta. So what a season, and Daniel can tell you, basically drew a lot of fans in Massachusetts, East Coast, United States, because beating the Providence Reds took guts back in the day, ladies and gentlemen, because the hometown rink and the hometown heroes that joined together to promote the franchise, they had much success. So for Springfield and Eddie Shore team, basically, because they were united in showing Eddie Shore up by winning. I can imagine it was a conversation said, oh, if you don't beat Quebec today, we're going to trade you all. But to bring back them as Indians a couple of years later, just your typical Eddie Shore, because half it made no sense. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, just a recap here. They scored 242 goals in a regular season, and were minus for the campaign, as we say, because stats tell me they gave upward than 260 goals, I think, that campaign. So pretty bizarre season, as 500 of a season as you can get. So if you like what we're doing here with the AHL and Minor Hockey Legend podcast, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Daniel, thanks for requests. As we like to say, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.